So the inspiration for this episode actually came from a fortune cookie the other night after I ate some Chinese food. And my fortune was, practice makes perfect. And I thought, well, sort of. Practice only makes perfect if you're practicing perfect things. It also makes permanent. My husband, one of his famous sayings is never mistake activity for achievement. And I think that's very valid in this conversation because you don't want to just be out there practicing without a purpose, number one. And two, whatever it is that you're working on, you want to make sure that you're doing it with quality versus quantity. So 10,000 hour rule that kind of floats out there and how much you should practice, it's all well and good, but you need to be really managing your practice and getting some kind of feedback, whether it's visual, with a mirror, with a camera, with somebody watching you like a coach, some kind of maybe proper training aid that's telling you whether you're in the right position or not, or moving the right way. One thing that I know a lot of students are guilty of is practicing too fast, meaning they just rake balls. So make sure before every hit, if you're doing full swing on the range or you're hitting a putt, that you go through your routine, you make your practice a little bit more realistic. You randomize it so that you have the ability to test yourself to see if you can actually apply what it is that you're doing in terms of new skills when you change clubs, change lies, maybe practicing out on the golf course to see if you're actually able to transfer the skill in real time. So again, you want to think about how you're practicing. Don't just stand there and hit with no intention. Have a specific thing that you're working on, simplify it down, whether it's a drill, a swing thought, whatever it is that you and your coach have, keep it simple and work again on quality over quantity because practice makes permanent. So to my next point, a lot of my students at the end of a lesson will say to me, well, how much should I practice before I come back and see you? Or what do you want me to do when I leave here? And usually we've covered some kind of practice idea, drill, body movement, something they can do both at home and out on the range. So they're getting in reps or they have the ability to get in some practice even if they can't get to the golf course every single day. But my answer to that is typically I want to see them get to the range 4 to 5 times before they come back to me. And so that might be a half-hour practice session, might be more, whatever it is they feel like they need. But that should be about a good enough time frame where they're getting in enough reps to have feedback for themselves and for me to say, yes, this is working. No, it's not. I'm confused. I'm getting it. It's enough time that I know that they've actually practiced, but it's not too much time where they've ingrained a new bad habit or if they've been practicing incorrectly based on whatever they think they were supposed to do, or maybe a miscommunication with myself or someone else that told them to do a certain thing. It's no good to spend too much time working, thinking you've got it right, and then you don't because you've wasted now all these practice sessions and creating the wrong thing. So don't spend too much time away from your coach if you're actively working on something. It's always good to go back in for a checkup, even if it's maybe a half-hour lesson every couple of weeks, just to maintain where you're at. I think that it's great to go to your golf coach and get a healthy checkup. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the learning curve. If you follow my Instagram account, you might have seen a couple posts I've done about pottery. And I started taking pottery classes about 11, 12 years ago before I had my kids and I had a little extra time on my hands and I really enjoyed it. But the teacher told us right from the start that it's going to take you throwing about 25 cat dishes, which you could basically call good tries, ends up as animal trays for food or ashtrays or something, nothing that you would ever gift to anyone or present in your house, before you throw your first good pot. And so around that 20-25 pot mark, I finally started getting it. And what I mean by getting it is my process became smoother. There's a lot of steps and technique and there's feel. And there's nothing that the teacher could have done to come over and try to, help me really feel the right amount of pressure I needed to apply to make my pots come out better when you're doing parts of the throwing technique. And so I finally got it. It was like it just clicked right around that time frame that she predicted. And so I try to tell this story to a lot of, particularly my beginner students, but even some students that are more advanced and just are going through a swing change, is it's going to take you a little while, but then you'll feel it. You'll feel what I'm trying to tell you. Unfortunately, I can't jump into your body, put my hands on the club and show you what it feels like. I wish I could. And at some level, there will probably be technology out there that will allow me to do that, like K-Vest, 4D motion, some of these kinematic training tools that kind of make you feel where you are in space. The golf robot. I mean, there's going to be more things like that will help golfers feel the quote unquote proper golf swing or wherever it is that the coach wants them to be. So that's very exciting, but there's still something to be said for that innate sense of rhythm that you feel, that you can ingrain, that you can repeat on your own terms. And so for me, in this pottery analogy, it was that pressure of the hands working together and really getting a sense that I didn't have to over try, push too hard, less was more. And once I learned those lessons the hard way, it paid off, because now it's like riding a bike. I took a break from pottery for several years and went back, and it was just automatic because I had ingrained it. I had done it enough times. I felt it. I wasn't going to lose it. So just a kind of a cool story. When you're out there practicing golf, I want you to think about that sometimes you're not going to get it right away. There is a learning curve with changing motor patterns or learning a new motor pattern. And so you just have to have faith, put in the time. Again, have a coach monitor what you're doing so they keep steering you on the right track, giving you little nudges, and keep asking questions and keep searching for the feels and for the visuals that are going to make you better, because they're out there. It's just a matter of being patient and having that faith and plugging along. Lastly, I wanted to share some strategies I've been using on the lesson tee that have shown effective with my students. So I am a new fur mom. I have a puppy that is 6 months old, a silver lab. His name is Slate, and he is all over my Instagram page and stories on a daily basis because puppyhood is pretty amusing. So we got him in August, and as a first-time dog owner, I read everything I could get my hands on before we got him on dog training, puppyhood, and just in general, what it's like to have dogs in your life, in your house, and all of that. So I was prepared, but because I'd never really trained a dog before, even though I've had 2 children, you would think this would come automatically, I was a little nervous, and I tried some different techniques, both positive and negative reinforcement. And so far, the positive stuff has probably been the most effective for teaching him certain manners. And there's a time and a place for some negative reinforcement as well. And so we're trying to find that balance. But it's an interesting parallel to golf training, because when I, let's say, want to just teach him a new trick, like to drop something or to fetch or to just sit, of course, giving him a little treat is always helpful. He does much better with responding to commands when there is an incentive that he knows is waiting for him. However, when he finally gets that new trick, for example, I was trying to get him to drop a toy, and the moment he does that new trick, you're supposed to imprint him with a yes, like a very strong phrase like that, obviously celebrating his success, but not just the physical reward of a little treat or food or maybe playing with a toy or something, but actually that strong, yes, you got it. And as soon as he hears that, he knows he's on the right track as opposed to saying no. And it sounds so simple, but I found that has been really, really effective with our dog to get him to do certain things. So I took that and I was giving some lessons over the course of the last few months this fall. And when my student would be trying something new in front of me, swinging, whatever, and they would get it wrong, I would say, no, not quite, do it more this way, do it more this way. But when they would get one right, I would say yes, very strongly, to a point where a couple times they looked up at me like, what are you doing? But I wanted to reinforce that they got it. Yes, that was the one. Feel that, remember that, let's do it again. And so imprinting that with a very strong reinforcement phrase, whatever that may be, has actually really helped. And so it's been giving that positive feedback to where they can right away try to do that same thing. Thanks so much for watching this episode of the Coaching Chronicles. If you have any comments or questions, please post below. Direct message me, email me, call me. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any particular ideas that you want to see me cover in future episodes, please contact me. I would love to know. And again, thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day.